Welcome to Max Q's What If? And today our guest is Andrew Hosch. And I've known Andrew and worked with Andrew for about 12 years now and at multiple companies. One was a medium-sized company. The rest have been startups. And Andrew is the operations man. He's the IT man. He's the technology leader. He's been in all kinds of different roles in these companies. We thought that Andrew could bring us information that some of you might want to know about the operations side of a business or the finance side of a business. And actually the growing and the scaling of a business. So there's many questions that we're going to ask Andrew, but Molly's got the first question and then we'll just kind of ask him a few more.
Yes. Thank you.
Molly,
Thank you for
go ahead.
joining, Andrew. I'm excited. So Ann and I have worked with Andrew for quite a while, and it is a privilege to have him on today. So I think I want to start with the build. So what if you have an idea for a startup, you've started working on it, but you have no idea how to get funding or where to start in terms of building out your team? What does that look like?
What if you have an idea? The very first thing I would recommend you do is find another founder. So it takes two, I think, or three. And without that, I think it gets very hard very quickly. If you can't sell even one more person on your idea, and who's willing to take that plunge, you're not going to be able to sell investors on investing in you and you alone. So I think if you come with two or three founders to investors, that says a lot more than just going by yourself. Having said that, the opposite is true as well. Like if you have 10 founders, that's way too many. The investors are going to think, well, they can't make a decision. So that would be the first recommended thought that comes to mind. Ideally, that second founder is going to complement you in some way, right? So there was a startup I worked with. They didn't get very far. It was made up of two founders, but they were both airline pilots. And so they thought of everything exactly the same way. They had the same strengths, the same weaknesses in terms of like running a business. And so it was hard for them to see their blind spots. And so they didn't, as a consequence, they didn't get very far. If it would have been like an airline pilot and a IT guy, for example, or a developer or something else, or a marketing person, someone who has a different perspective that would complement them, then that I think would go a long way. So that would be my thought there.
No, that's good. And that actually leads into the next what if. What if I fail? What if we fail also as a collective, right? As a company. I think that's important.
At that early stage, that's okay. You want to fail early, not fail often. And so again, it's much worse assuming you can sell your idea to someone else and you have two founders and you guys roll down the path. Again, the airline startup was the startup run by airline pilots was a good example. They decided they wanted to build an app to enforce their idea, and they went out and built that app, and they spent a bunch of money building that app without doing any kind of market research or any kind of seeing if there was competitors. They didn't do any of that due diligence kind of stuff before moving down. And so I would say the further to the left that you can realize you're going to fail, the better it's going to be. So, and this is hard for founders. Usually it's hard for they want to go do the fun stuff and not do the icky stuff. The icky stuff being, I got to go survey 50 people about whether this idea is a good idea or not. I have to do some competitive analysis and see if someone's already thought of my idea. And if you can fail early before and I say early, really early, before you're asking for money, and you realize that idea is already done, or there's already someone who's dominating the market, or there's 5 that are dominating the market. Then you can fail and walk away, and then you live to another day. You live to fight another day in that case. If you jump in with 2 feet and spend a bunch of money, and then you realize you're going to fail, uh, at that point you might not live to fight another day, right? You might have that second idea, but you've already spent all of your goodwill money on that first one. So.
Well, and last what if in this question series for this, what if I feel like I'm starting to fail, but it's later in the process? What are ways that a founder or startup can kind of start to course correct so they don't fail?
Yeah, so ideally in that case, if it's assuming it's not market fit and they have 0 market fit and they're failing for some other reason, perhaps on execution, then they need to have a good network of folks that they can delegate that aspect of the company to, right? So again, picking on the airline pilots, if they had realized that they were, off base or off the trail, the core of their problem, really, they probably actually had market fit. The problem is that their idea was really about more about marketing. It was probably 90% marketing, their idea, and 10% software and execution, and they didn't have a marketing person. So if they had been able to reach out to a friendly who could work part-time or give them some advice at least, they probably would have succeeded a lot more than they had, or gotten a lot further.
Good answers. Thank you very much.